Jason Davies,
How are you?
are you having a long cuck day?
Oh, it's just been one of those days. I don't know, yesterday and today. It seems like most people get to sit at home and not do anything, and it seems like my life's just complicated.
Is it only me? Why is it only me? Welcome, everyone. This is episode or version one of a series of podcasts I want to try and give a shot. And there's going to be a number of people from South Africa and around the world that hopefully you can listen to and just catch up on what it's like to be in their shoes and in their rig and what their rig is about and their scenarios, because everyone is different. And having completely different families and ages and environments and terrain, it kind of opens up a lot of different questions on places that you might want to go or places that you already live. So today I have Jason Davies, who has a fantastic young family, but also a very young channel called Epic Africa. Jason also happens to be the sole agent for the Ikamper series of rooftop tents for pretty much the SADC region. So for all my US listeners, which is the lion's share actually of people that listen to me, and thank you for listening to me, by the way. But SADC is the South African developing country. So it's South Africa and then all the bordering countries and a few of the bordering countries. So from Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Angola, Namibia, Botswana, those are the areas that are pretty rife with good quality overlanding. So Jason and I are catching up, and I thought you could listen in on the conversation and just a few comments and points that I was hoping to bring up and get his perspective on what it's about. So how's it, Jason? Thanks for signing in and catching up online here.
How's it, Anton? Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's always good to catch up with you, and I think this podcast idea is a great one, and hopefully we can answer a few questions for people and going forward as well. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Very cool. Thanks. So I'm going to start off with an area that I know very well, where you live. I grew up in the Drakensberg side of it, so. I know that you have the access to go into the deep green mountains with wonderful blue water. How often do you go into your backyard, or do you prefer to go into areas like Botswana and Namibia and things like that, where the terrain is quite different?
Yeah, well, look, we love venturing all out. So I mean, exploring our country itself, South Africa, and going into our neighboring countries is always just such a great adventure. And I mean, the minute you cross a border, you more automatically feel at ease and on holiday, and you're forgetting any worries that you might have, which is really nice. But to answer that immediate question, we certainly explore our local terrain and our backyard quite a lot, because being based in KZN, we are quite close to a lot of different terrains and a lot of different areas. You mentioned obviously the mountains and the greenery and all that sort of thing, and we've very blessed here with the mountain ranges of the Drakensberg that we can go up. Places like even Sani Pass and Lesotho is absolutely fantastic for overlanding and driving in general. But we've also got the coast, so we've got some good sandy areas. We've got bush, and we've got the beach. So yeah, we're quite lucky in that respect, and we certainly explore all areas. But when we get the opportunity to go away for quite a while, then we certainly step a little bit further out of our comfort zone and head into places like Botswana and Mozambique, being two of our sort of favorite destinations at the moment.
Yeah, I think guys that have been overlanding for quite a while are starting to venture out a little bit more. I mean, I know that Angola for overlanding is generally quite untouched for South Africans. We don't generally go there, and I know that it's fantastic, and it's got a little bit similar scenery, I would say, to what we have out of KZN and the coastline. And I haven't done Mozambique driving like that. I've been there, but not overlanding. I've done Botswana, not Botswana. Well, I've done Botswana, but Swaziland and Lesotho, things like that. I've done quite a bit of, and I just love the greenery. I completely adore it. I mean, I grew up in the mountains, so for me, it's fantastic, and I'm pretty jealous that you get to do it on a short term. I live in Cape Town, so for me, we have mountains, but we don't have that complete big tree forest greenery that you guys can get to. And I think something that was a massive eye opener for me was the first time I drove from Cape Town into Windhoek. The scenery completely changes. You have greenery, a little bit of mountain range, then like shoulder high, knee high bush, and then completely nothing. You'll drive for hours and there is nothing but rock. There's not a tree or a blade of grass. And I've always thought, will I get bored driving through that? And the answer is not really, because it's never the same. It's always different every time you go. It's fantastic. I really love that.
Yeah, it's forever changing. And that's, I think, one of the best things about what we do, and getting out there and getting, into different destinations, seeing different things, is that, you can do the same route a few times, and every time something's different, and you notice something, completely new that you hadn't seen before. And, you talk about Angola and those sort of destinations, they're fantastic. And if you think about the journey getting there, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey. And you're traveling from, some of the areas in South Africa, you're going through Botswana, through Namibia to get to Angola, which is really great. So you've got this fantastic journey and round trip that you can do that encompasses a whole lot of different areas and different cultures, which is really great too.
Yeah, that is very true. So I'm going to ask an interesting question here for you, obviously, because you're an Ikamper guy. I happen to be an Ikamper guy too. I did a lot of research and ended up on the 4-sleeper. I completely love it. It's comfy, it's convenient. Obviously with a few mods on it, which maybe we can touch base on later. But I want to ask you, what was your first tent? Was it a standard ground tent that everyone struggled with, trying to find blue pole 1 that fit into red pole 3, and was it raining at night and your wife's screaming at you?
It certainly was. We started out in a normal sort of igloo style tent. I don't know if you remember those. It's the 2 cross poles that go over each other, and it says 4-man, but it's really just a 2-man if you're lucky. And we started out on that, and it was great. I think for anybody getting into overlanding or camping in general, it's a great option, and you can really still get some fantastic ground tents. There's a lot of good canvas tents out there if you do want to spend a bit of extra bucks on it. But to get into it, it doesn't have to be expensive. So much of what we do these days is expensive. And the minute you start talking about camping these days, a lot of people just think, gee, it's just so expensive, I can't do it. I might as well just go stay in a B&B. Sure. But the reality is that you can go buy that cheaper tent. And yes, it might not last forever, but if it gets you out there and at least shows you that you enjoy it, and something that you really want to do, then fine. Then you can invest some money in some good quality product and build on it from there. And I think that's really just, people need to remember that there's always a starting point for everything.
I completely agree. And I think my first tent, like main tent, was a RV5, was an Oz tent RV5, and I did my research. Sorry, what's that?
I said it's a very good tent.
It is, and it's a very big tent. And I mean, I made the mistake of buying stretchers to sleep on. Those military style stretchers, which was the worst thing.
Yeah, they are the most.
And I think that was more of a frustration for me. It was about not having, not wasting time putting up a tent. I like to go to a different place every day, so I don't want to spend 20 minutes putting up a tent. So some people are very happy with those pop-ups, which are those Melimu pop-ups, which are pretty cool, but it also depends on where you are. You want something, for me, I want something a little bit more substantial and more of a frame. personal thing. So I'm really enjoying the Ikamper, and it really offers everything I need for my scenario right now and my family. So anyway, that's not a plug for you. That's a plug for me because I really do enjoy it.
Well, that's fine. If you do, then it's great. And that's all that we want anyway. The important thing is that people getting out there, and the easier you can make it for yourself at the end of the day just means you're going to go out more and do it more.
Correct. I think the whole thing is about convenience, which is what we're saying is time,
Yeah.
And that's really what you're paying for. You can pay for a good El Cheapo, but you're going to spend 15 minutes setting it up, or 20 minutes setting it up, or you can, spend something decent and have it done in a minute.
Correct. Yeah. And I think that when you start out, it's fine to do that and to maybe battle along a little bit in the beginning, until you know that this is for me and this is what I want to do. And then you start looking for ways to make your life easier, because now you want to do it a lot more.
Yeah. So something about equipment. So, you've been around the industry for a few years. Where do you generally buy all of your equipment? Are you, do you do all your shopping and buying online? Obviously, we're in South Africa, so getting a lot of the good quality US stuff is expensive. But do you maybe do your own thing, or do you make something yourself? Do you go into a store in South Africa and go and buy it from your general outdoor stores, which are overpriced? Or do you do most of your shopping online?
Look, it's a bit of a hard question, really, because it depends what you're looking for, I guess. If you are looking for a fridge, for example, you can do quite a bit online. You can have a look at what's out there and get a lot of reviews and a lot of feedback from people. So I would say in that regard, I'll do a lot of research online and browse online stores, looking for that particular model that I've then decided on based on quality and various other things. And then I'm looking at, hey, what is the price? Where can I get it from? And who's going to give me the best service? Because, there's no good saving $100 or $200 there if something goes wrong with it, and now it's an absolute schlep to take it back and get it repaired or get it swapped out. So, I will generally try and support my local shops as much as I can, within reason. And if I can't get something from them, or maybe it is just completely overpriced, which sometimes it can end up that way, for various different reasons. That every place has different expenses that make that up. Then I'll definitely go online and order whatever it may be. And again, it comes down to that convenience factor. Can I walk in and store and just go buy it and walk out with it, or do I have to go there and wait for them to order it? Then I might as well kind of order it online.
Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm very specific about what I do around my camping and overlanding stuff. I mean, I won't buy something mediocre. I measure up in my vehicle to make sure that it's going to fit properly, and I've just done a fantastic mod on a stove cooker to take LP gas, and I might share it later, but there's going to be a video going up on it shortly, and so that I don't have to carry those butane canisters. So I'm very, very specific about what goes into my vehicle, and I think most of us that do this often enough tend to focus a lot on like Tetris. It must fit in a certain way in a certain place in order to get it at a certain time. So for me, in my rig, and I've seen yours obviously, and you have you've got I think it's the RSI canopy with all those fancy looking side wings and all that. I don't have that. So for me, it's all about it must fit in a certain place. If it doesn't fit, then I have to rethink. Is it what I want? Are you very specific about what you put in your vehicle?
Yes, I am. And over the years, a lot of stuff has been chucked out that I don't use, and I'm sure that everybody finds that. We go through trip after trip, and every time we go on a trip, hey, we've got this new gadget or this new thing to take with us that we think is going to be very, very valuable and we're going to love, but we end up not using it. So, generally on a trip that we go on, and when we sort of pack and repack, I'll go through it. And if I haven't used it on the last 4 or 5 trips and it's not a critical item like a recovery rope or a snatch strap or something like that, then it gets left behind, because there's no point in taking all that extra weight and extra space. So yeah, I really look at it hard and what I'm putting in, so that we can fit the important things. And as you say, it's like Tetris. So you've got to find, and everything needs its place, because there's no good packing the whole van, and then at the end of the day you're looking for something, and now you're unpacking the whole van just to find it because you don't even know where it is. So yeah, I think that's quite a big part. And I know that a lot of people on these big trips will pack, for example, recovery gear right down in the back behind something, or underneath their drawer system, or in a compartment somewhere, and then there is about 10 bags or boxes on top of it. And I've been in this situation, and now you're having to unpack your car on the side of the road just to get that one strap out.
You only need to learn once.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, it's you've got to have that balance between the convenience of it, and obviously being able to pack it smartly.
Yeah, no, you only need to learn once. I mean, I'm actually trying to install my daughter who's 6, and in her head about the power of one. You only want to do it once, or go and get it once. You don't, if it's something that you use every day, have it at hand conveniently. You don't want to unpack 4 things in order to go and find something that you use every day. And that brings me to I think one of my favorite questions is, what is your best or most used items in or on your vehicle? And you can't say the Ikamper. That doesn't.
Sure. Yeah, it is a tough one. Yeah, look, I've got yeah, I don't know if the best used and favorite go hand in hand, actually, but okay. Look, I think let's start with my favorite item. Or there's a great product called a Indeflate, and you may know of it, and some people may know of it, but I think that for me, one of my pet hates and things that sort of I find the most time consuming, and when you're getting out on a track, is now having to deflate your tires to the right pressure. So, you can look at a scenario where you're going into Botswana, and now you've come off the tarmac and you're getting onto the steep sand, and you need to get out now and deflate. It's 35, 40 degrees. Kids are in the car, everybody's whining, everyone wants to get to their destination. And now you sit there for ages with a piece of stick or something like that, trying to bring down the tire pressure and obviously check it every couple of minutes not to go too far down. So for me, I think that's one of my favorite pieces of kits. It's not necessarily the most used, I'd say, but it's certainly maybe a nifty gadget that I really enjoy, and it just makes life really simple when deflating and inflating. You can inflate with it as well, which is really great, and it does 2 tires at a time. So
yeah, that's become quite popular, I see. And I mean, to me, that type of thing hasn't been a big deal to me. I actually have a little one of those little star gadgets that you can buy at most of the tire shops, that you unscrew the little pin inside I forget the name, inside the nozzle that you do the tire with, and I just take that out and count to like a 10, and by then I've dropped a bar. So
yes, yeah.
That type of thing for me is mine would be actually my my Leatherman Raptor scissors. I use those things for everything. I mean, I cut vorse and meat with it. I cut branches and pieces of carpet. I do everything with that thing. I completely love it. And it's random, but it is so convenient to use. I adore this thing. I wouldn't say I adore it, but I definitely keep it. It's probably one of the 2 things that are closest to me. I just did a 1-minute vlog on inside my vehicle, and the torch. It was a Pelican torch, and this Raptor scissors are definitely, I'd say, the best items that I use the most often. That, and then obviously making tea. I love making a good cup of tea, so I end up doing that. Okay, so let's find something else over here. I mean, I have a few sets of questions over here. Favorite mod on your vehicle? Do you have one?
Favorite mod on my vehicle? I wouldn't. Look, I wouldn't call it necessarily a mod, but I'd say my auxiliary battery that I run, that's coupling then up to some auxiliary USB chargers at the rear of the vehicle near my draw system is sort of my favorite mod. When it comes to charging devices, whether it be cell phones or cameras or GoPros or whatever it might be, I just find that so convenient. You never have enough of those in the vehicle. The kids have always got their iPads or phones or whatever, something plugged into them. So there's never a place to plug it in while you're driving.
Yeah.
And it's so convenient. I've got it right there next to one of my drawers, my front runner drawer system. I've got it right next to it. And, together with that and the battery, I plug in the USBs, I drop them into the drawer and I close the drawer. And, by the time I get to where I'm going, everything's charged. So I really find that sort of like just a small little mod that's just made my life a lot easier. And I've even stuck a little gauge above it just so I can, monitor the battery level at the same time, which is just super convenient.
Okay. Yeah, that is very cool. And if you could choose any overlanding vehicle, what would it be? And you can tell the listeners what you currently have, but I mean, if you could choose any vehicle, what would it be?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So as you know, and for the listeners, I'm in a Ford Ranger, a 3.2 double cab. But if I had to choose anything, I think I would definitely have to go with one of the cruisers. I've got a really big love for the 79 cruiser. So I think that would ultimately be my ultimate overlanding vehicle. I like the versatility of it. I think that's really what gets me as well. That you can really make that vehicle your own. There's a lot of changes. It's super reliable.
Very true.
Yeah. As a daily driver, probably not the best thing, but
yeah.
I think for overlanding and something that I could have as a dedicated overlanding vehicle, that would be top of my list.
There's so many options for those things, and they're amazing. You can get parts anywhere. You can repair them pretty much in most places. You can put your deep cycle battery in the engine compartment and run cables directly. It really is a fantastic vehicle. So
yeah, it's a great platform.
Yeah,
it really is.
I completely agree with you. Another one over here that I have is where is it? It's gone shut up my head. I know your family loves joining you on this, and I know in your last vlog you put out that you had your daughter's party in Botswana last year. Unfortunately, because of the virus, it's not going to happen this year. So that's a complete bummer. I was supposed to be in Botswana myself now for my humanitarian trip, but that's also been
it's put a proper stop on a lot of things.
I'm completely gutted. It really hit me. The people were ready, everything was done, and because of 2 days, otherwise we would have been there. But then we also would have put them at risk. These villages are in fantastic, clean, perfect environments, and having foreigners come bringing viruses is not what you want to read on the news. It doesn't help anybody.
No, not at all.
What nav system do you use, Jason? I mean, what is your go-to when you? What's the first thing you pick up when you want to look at going to a spot?
Sure, I think that like most people at the moment, we pick up our phones. So, I use Google Maps, but in conjunction with that, I do have a Garmin with Tracks for Africa on it, and I often use the two side by side. I find that where Google's great and it's got a lot of roads and a lot of information on it, which is handy. It doesn't always know the condition of the roads, so it doesn't know whether you can drive 20 on it or 60 or 80. And then with Tracks for Africa, it's got some routes and some tracks that just don't show up on Google. So I find the combination of the two work very well, and sometimes they argue with each other. and then you got to pick one and sort of assess the situation and see what's going to be best and work out best for you. But yeah, those would be my two, and certainly the two that I always use on my trips.
That's interesting. I mean, I think that's in South Africa, that's the route that most people have gone. Is or are those two? I mean, Tracks for Africa are really good. I know Johan from Tracks for Africa, and he's really created a good platform. And I do know that it's only going to get better. The guy travels into Africa himself a lot. He drives a Defender 110, and he literally drives like 12 hours a day for like 11 days in a row by himself. The guy.
Incredible.
It's crazy, but the guy is very, very involved with certain communities, and he respects people's privacy on certain farms, so he would cut certain roads out. So I know Tracks for Africa doesn't always work properly with Garmin, and every Garmin device is slightly different, which I don't know why. It makes no sense though. Certain devices work better than others, so it's quite a challenge. My nav system that I've gone for is slightly different. So on my big trips, I use my phone, my iPhone X, for pretty much everything now, and I've got the InReach Mini, and the InReach Mini app on your phone is fantastic because you can still text message, obviously with a paid service, but you can text message if you're in trouble. You can use an SOS. You can text from the phone any message you want. You've got pre-prescribed messages. It's really fantastic. So for me on my trips, because I go into rural areas, it's quite different. I haven't picked up my Garmin Nuvi number, whatever it is, in months. It probably needs a good charge and an update. So I don't know. I enjoy Tracks for Africa. I enjoy Google Maps. But unfortunately, none of these platforms talk the same language, and I really wish they would. I wish that if you guys are listening, guys, talk to each other. Create a coding that all the systems talk amongst themselves, so no one lands up in Angola when they should have been in Mozambique. But lastly, dude.
Yes.
Last question. What is the worst? Quickly, the best and the worst moment on tracks?
Sure. Okay. So I think the worst moment I've had is doing 2 tires on one track, and only having one spare. And that wasn't great at all.
Yeah.
So that was a very tricky one, and they were both sidewalls. So as you know, trying to plug a sidewall, we eventually had about 4 or 5 plugs into one hole there that still really didn't hold up, but at least I could limp back.
Yeah.
And then I think the best moments on the tracks is just when I've been in Botswana, and driving those side roads along the river in the Chobe. It's just amazing. You've got such great driving right next to the river, lovely sand. It's a pleasure driving, and the viewing's amazing. So for me, I think that's the place I would go back any day.
I think we've all experienced two flat tires in one shot. I had it last year, and the one was it was crazy. It was two flat tires, 2 left tires at the same time, right in the same line. So I obviously drove over something that didn't agree with my tires, and I have pretty good tires. I mean, in fact, what tires are you running on your vehicle? That should be actually another question here. What tires?
So initially I was running I was running Coopers, and I still am, but the Coopers that unfortunately did get damaged at the time were actually they're the all-terrain, but they're the ones that they generally put on SUVs. And when I first got my vehicle, I was not as knowledgeable as I am now, and stepped into a shop that advised me poorly. Before that, I had the BFs, and they were fantastic. And I walked in and was told, hey, these are like for like. And I thought, why not give them a go? And I paid quite heavily for that. Luckily, Cooper South Africa was really great and came to the party and helped, sort of subsidize the replacement of the correct ones that should have gone in there, which there's a few different types they do. They do one that is a all-terrain light truck, which is the right one to actually put on. And then the one up from there is the ST Maxes, which is on my vehicle, which is a little bit more of an aggressive tread. It's a sort of like, I want to say it's in between the all-terrain and the mud terrain. And then they've got their ST Maxes Pro, STT Pro, I think it is. So at the moment I've been very happy with these tires. And in fact, I'm working on a bit of a walk around on my van, and which includes a bit of a talk on the tires themselves. But fantastic. They're sitting at about, I think they're on about 70,000 Ks now, and still got heaps of tread left on them. They've taken a few little knocks on the side walls and that sort of thing, obviously from rocks, but nothing severe or threatening in any way. So I've been really happy with them.
That's amazing, dude, because I'm very pro Cooper. I've had BFGs, and from what I've learned about BFG and the mentality between the two different companies, not only the way that they run, but the two different tires are, I would not go for BFGs even if they gave them to me. I've got the ST Maxes. I got the 245s, 75 16s. I completely love them on my Defender. I don't have a road noise problem. Perfect when I drop tire pressure. I had the same set of these beforehand. I had 75,000 kilometers. I think I lost about 1 mil of tread. It's completely nuts, and I absolutely love the Cooper tires. I got the same tire as you. It's a really good choice, and their head office, I don't know if you know, but their head office is in Hillcrest, so it's not far from you.
Yeah. So I've got quite a good relationship with the rep here. Very good car that's sort of helped me out when I didn't have that great experience with the actual tire dealership I went to. But they're good tires. I've been very happy, and I think that they've come a hell of a long way. And if you look at that sidewall compared to some other comparative tires on the market, they're much more superior, and that the proof's in the pudding there. They really have lasted, and I think that they back their tires. They guarantee that you'll get, I think, 80 or 90,000 Ks out of them. Otherwise, as long as you're doing your rotations and you're doing your alignment and your balancing, they'll be covered under a warranty. And it has to be said that anybody out there that's got any tire, it actually doesn't matter what tire you've got on your vehicle, do the rotations. Every sort of 8,000 Ks, 10 max, do those rotations, because that really is what just prolongs the life of the tire. And it's they're going to wear evenly at the end of the day.
I completely agree. I'm very pro. Their tire for life system works. I had to use it. And the Oaks stepped up completely. So I'm quite stoked actually that you're doing it. It shows that you're a bright guy. Listen, dude, I think we could chat for like another hour. I want to say thank you very much for this. I think we've hit like a half an hour chat, and I know we both have other days to get onto. So I really appreciate the time that you've given me and the insight into your little experiences or big experiences, I should say, not little. And thanks for thanks for just sharing what you go through and what you're getting onto.
Yeah, thanks very much, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate you putting this together and having a chat with us and bringing us into the whole conversation. I think it's great. And I mean, the main reason we got into, overlanding in the first place was to get outdoors and, see the world. And the other reason we got into sharing our trips and our YouTube channel and our Instagram is so that we can share that with everybody and hopefully encourage them to do the same. And it's just such a great thing to share that with friends, family, your children, all of that sort of thing. It's fantastic. So hopefully more of us will do that, especially after being stuck at home all this time.
Yeah, it's been nuts, but it's been amazing. And I thank you again, Jason. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm pretty sure we'll either run into you on the tracks or catch you online on your YouTube channel and your Instagram. I know that you're quite active on.
Perfect. Thanks very much. Thanks, Anton. I appreciate the time. Cheers.
No problem. And go well, buddy. Ciao.
Ciao.